We want to talk about childhood body shaming and the dangers that manifest later on in life as a result of it. My guest is here in studio. Her name is Annabelle Gishure. She's a life coach and mentor. Karibu sana to the show. All right. So tell me a bit about your story growing up and your experience growing up. This topic is actually very personal to you.
Yeah, thank you. This, my childhood story is actually my story of pain turned into purpose. Because right now I'm a child coach, I'm a child psychologist. Growing up, I grew up like a normal child, got to teenagehood as a normal teenager. Then about class 6, class 7, I was a chubby girl. And you know, our culture appreciates petite girls more than chubby girls. And one day as we were joking in class, a boy just said, "You look so plump, you look so bad."
Wow.
That for a teenage girl, it's your world has actually shattered.
Right.
You've actually told me I'm ugly. I'm not worth living. And that is how a normal teenager is going to interpret such a statement.
Okay.
And I decided from then on, no schooling. I'll not go back to school. I need to actually die. I need to actually cut myself off the society because I don't look good. Where am I actually living?
So did you actually drop out of school?
I didn't drop out of school, but I actually faked sickness the same day so that I do not go back to school.
Okay.
So that I don't face the students who actually see me looking chubby, who actually see me looking bad and ugly. And that is what I did. I actually, because in our generation, when we were brought up, there's no way you could tell your parent, I don't want to go to school. Because a boy said this and this and this, they'll not understand. And actually faked sickness. I was admitted in a hospital for a whole week.
Faking sickness?
Faking sickness.
Wow. And the hospital didn't figure it out?
No, they weren't seeing anything, but I was still pretending to feel pain.
Okay.
So they needed to check, to do the checkups.
Okay.
And I remember after 1 week, I never went back to school because, you know, you have the recovery time.
Sure.
But I was not sick. And after going for my third checkup, the doctor actually said, I think this is not sickness. There's something else to this. And I was running away from the reality of what this boy actually said. Making matters worse, it's a boy who said it.
Yeah.
So that led to loss of self-esteem, then broken relationships. I could not identify with men or any boy.
Well, let me ask you what's your family like? Are you the only sibling? Are other people in your family also full-figured? And, you know, was it ever a point of concern with the family as well? Or what is it that caused this? Of course, it's a guy and you're a teenage girl, so that is one. But was there anything else behind his words specifically that really helped trigger all of this? Because I find that sometimes if people are surrounded by family members who are accepting or maybe look the same way, then they feel much more comfortable. Was that your experience or not?
Yeah, it was my experience. I've always been chubby, but I could not communicate to anyone.
Okay.
I had myself to continue with the struggle.
So your siblings, your family, nobody else you'd say was chubby?
No, everyone is actually chubby in my family.
Okay.
But how do I communicate to my parents? This boy actually said this. They'll not understand. So what is the best thing for me to do things my way?
Okay.
So that I'm not able to face the shame. And I'm also not able to face the people who actually regard me as not beautiful.
I see.
Yeah.
So what I was trying to get at is, despite having people in your life who love and care for you, also be a little fuller in weight, the opinions of the ones outside of those people is the one that really mattered the most for you. Okay.
Yeah, as a teenager, that is the most important part. As a teenager, a normal growing teenager, They're trying to identify the self, so they have the self-exploration, and that is why they might value friends more than parents.
Right.
Because they're trying to understand, how do I relate with a boy?
Yeah.
What is it about relating with a boy? But so as for what the parents should do at such a point, do not deprive them of that, but nurture them in a way to know this is what is termed as a good relationship as a teenager. This is the extent you can go. This is how you create boundaries. And so from my experience as a teenager, I never got that opportunity. I actually did the exploration myself. And so I was trying to identify who is Annabelle. So Annabelle is this beautiful lady, but someone else actually said, you don't look good. So where do I fit?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, I see. Wow. So after this whole hospital experience and basically faking being ill, what happened thereafter, and how did sort of life continue thereafter? Were you able to sort of build up your own self-esteem, knowing that, you know, people are always just going to say things? Or how did you get to this point where you seem much more confident today?
So it has been a journey, but after I remember I went back to school, and I actually dropped from an A student. I was always between number 1 to number 5. I was not that last or second last. If I improved to the fourth last, and that was my cycle, because I was in grade 7, and I actually failed in my KCPE.
Wow! After being an A student.
Yes.
Because of people's words and body shaming.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a drastic change. And so when you get to that point, the teachers don't actually understand what happened for you from an A student to a D student. It does not make any sense. So you're fighting battles from every corner. And as a teenager, you have internal battles, because most of the teenagers have emotional battles. They're trying to identify. That is why most of the teenagers don't actually relate well with the parents, because they're trying to understand, where do I fit? What's my role in this family? What's my role in my life? And in that is a whole sort of struggle. And I remember after my KCPE, my parents actually helped me to build my confidence back.
Okay.
Because I never got a secondary school, so they actually looked for the best, and I got the best secondary school.
Wow.
And that is where my life started to build up again.
Okay.
I met my English teacher back then, who was a male teacher. Remember, I couldn't relate well with males. Yes, so he actually saw the leadership in me and tried to nurture it.
Okay.
So I was reluctant at first, but he was very patient. He actually nurtured it to, I think, I was a peer counselor in school. So he put me in that leadership position.
Okay.
And I think that is where I started to find my steps.
All right.
I started to cultivate my career, and I started to nurture the Annabelle you see now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so today you're actually counseling children and mentoring them, and of course this must be a big topic as far as what you teach and what you guide them through. How big of an issue is this still today? Body shaming among children.
Yeah, I would say it's among teenagers. It hits them hard when they're in teenagehood. Because you find, I've had children who actually refuse to actually eat for a whole week. And you actually ask them, are you fasting? No, I just want to be in shape. Because my students, my friends, are actually petite. And so the first thing I always ask them, have you shared this with your parents? And they say, no, I can't share this with my mom. She'll not understand me. She'll not understand what I'm going through, because she says I'm beautiful the way I am.
Yeah.
So they have...
Interesting. So children feel that even when their parents are trying to encourage them by affirming them, that it's not necessarily addressing their issue. So they feel, yeah, sure, mom, you can say I'm beautiful and I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, but at the end of the day, they still feel less than.
Yeah, they still feel
because
empty.
their peers are not saying the same thing. Wow. So how does one help their child navigate that? What is it that you do then as you counsel these children?
Yeah, let me approach it from a parent point of view. The first thing is communication. With a teenager, you don't start enhancing your communication when they're preteen, they're 12. So you realize they're getting 13 in an year's time. I have to start enhancing my communication now. You must create that communication system with your teenager, such that if they undergo body shaming at any point in their teenagehood, if they actually love that boy in their class, they are able to communicate to you, and that sorts out the whole problem. That is the first point of the challenge.
Okay.
As a parent, enhance the communication. And the second one is nurture. So enhance your and nurture your relationship with your child. Don't just be the provider. Don't just be you're providing for them, but they can't actually share their deep secrets with you. Because at teenagehood, you need to hack the emotional system.
Sure.
They have to share the emotions with you.
Okay.
Because they're trying to explore their self, and they're actually trying to explore their sexuality. So you have to help them through. Don't deprive them of that period,
Okay.
but help them navigate through it.
So for a parent who might have been a little too late in as far as having developed that sort of good communication culture with their children, and maybe now the kids are already in teenagehood, so but they're seeing that this is actually a struggle that the child is going through, what would you suggest they should do?
The first thing is have a sit down with your teen. Actually assess your relationship. Ask them to actually tell you what they really want. What have you been doing right? What have you been doing? Assess yourself through them. And also create family traditions with them. Come up with a new family tradition whereby they are in it. They are the ones creating what they really want. So you have to get into a teenager's space for you to actually understand them. You can't be having your mindset and they have their mindset. Get into their mindset, that you're able to help them from their level of thought. Yeah, so that would be the first step. Create a family tradition with them.
Okay.
And as you create that, create a nurturing space in your family. Is your family secure? Do they feel secure in your home? So that is the first thing you should navigate. If they feel secure in any environment, they are going to open up, and you're going to be able to nurture them through.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the statistics would be in Kenya, but of course, part of all this body shaming, especially at teenagehood, you see the rise of things like anorexia and bulimia, all sorts of eating disorders. In your experience, are you also counseling young teens and whatnot on the same? How interlinked are the two?
Yeah, I'm counseling teens on the same, but I would not say they're interlinked, because most of the children come for counseling for such issues if it's affecting their life. So it's not interlinked to bulimia and anorexia, but some of them don't even notice because it's normal. It's normal. So most responses will be, you need to start cutting your weight.
Okay.
But most parents don't take it as it's not a must for a child to seek counseling because of that.
Okay.
Unless it's affecting their self-esteem. But what I've noticed with the current generation, parents have started being very sensitive to it, and they begin with their family. Like I met a parent who actually said, I actually removed carbs from my family meals.
Okay.
Because I noticed my daughter is starting to grow bigger, and I need to support them.
Right.
So they actually hack it before it gets to the explosion. Yeah.
Right. And I was going to ask you about that, because there does need to be a line drawn, between healthy eating practices and, establishing healthy lifestyles too, right? Yeah. We've seen things like diabetes rise among children, child obesity. So I guess there is a fine line. But I like what you're saying, that the parents kind of also need to be very proactive in being the ones to determine it and create a safe space in the home. So very well said. Unfortunately, my time is running out here. Very quickly, someone here is saying, hey, Full Circle with Joyce. I'm Maureen watching from Eldoret, and I am appreciating you for the conversations we have on the show. They're relatable, and even we maybe have been in some situations, and so they've just been very keenly listening into this particular conversation and knowing how to handle things for themselves as well. So thank you for that. And as we wrap up, maybe you can tell us, how can people get in touch with you? Perhaps someone actually needs to reach out and get some counseling as well.
All right, thank you. My organization is called Transform Generations Africa. We are on Facebook. You could actually message us through it and we'll get back to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Transform Generations Africa on Facebook.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Annabelle, for coming. And keep up the good work that you're doing. And I think above it all also, even if you're not the one doing the body shaming, even as a parent, teach your child, you know, how to respect other people. You just don't know what sort of repercussions it has on their future life. So raise good people, okay? Raise good sons and raise good daughters, I think is how we're going to end that conversation. Thank you once again, Annabelle. With that said, we're going to take a break now as we get ready for the second hour of the show. Still coming up, we have in store for you, we're going to be talking about a self-improvement checklist. You want to make sure that these some of the things that you've been going through, and part of what we're going to be talking about is overcoming fear and also learning new skills. And later on we'll be talking about new technology trends post COVID-19. 111 444 111 is the SMS line, and I'll see you after this. Thanks for coming.